Hello everybody and welcome back to another one of our 7-star raid videos. I will give a fair warning in advance. This episode is being recorded extremely late at night. It's currently 2:30 a.m. I've been up since like maybe 9 a.m. I've had a very long day. But when I got home, I noticed that the next 7-star raid was announced, and luckily for me, I kind of saw this one coming. There's been a small pattern with a few of the previous 7-star raids, where they have been the ace Pokemon of the Elite Four in the Blueberry Academy, and they've been matching those Blueberry Academy Elite Four types. So, doing a little bit of ahead planning, I was able to plan for this Pokemon, which, of course, as you can see here, is a Dragon Terror type Sceptile. Sceptile is a very cool Pokemon. It's honestly probably my favorite of the Hoenn starters, although it's close. They're all very good. Of course, Sceptile is the Grass type starter of the Hoenn region, and as I said before, it's going to be Dragon Terror type. That kind of matches Mega Evolution, which is kind of cool. Unfortunately, Mega Evolutions aren't in this game, but this is a close second, I guess. Sceptile also has a very interesting stat spread. Its special attack, if I remember correctly, is very slightly higher than its physical attack stat, and it does get a pretty good mixed moveset. So I could definitely see this Pokemon running a mixed set, and I've made our builds kind of keeping that in mind, so don't worry too much about that. But let's talk about the Sceptile first. Sceptile, of course, will probably have Leaf Blade. That is its signature move, and Dragon Claw is another great option, especially if it's physical, because that will get that Dragon type stab from that Terror type, and take advantage of that or take advantage of its pretty good physical attack. Acrobatics and X's are also very good coverage options that take advantage of Sceptile's mediocre. I shouldn't say mediocre, pretty good physical attack. However, as I said before, I could definitely see this thing being a mixed attacker. It's got a very wide array of good special moves, including Dragon Pulse and Leaf Storm, as you can see up there. I can definitely see this thing opening with a Leaf Storm and then clearing stat debuffs so it gets back to that +2. It's kind of similar to the Cinderace that used to use Overheat and then cleared stat debuffs. I think that might have been, and that might have been Charizard, actually. It might have been similar to the Charizard that would use Overheat. Of course, Focus Blast is another good coverage option this Pokemon can get, and Energy Ball is another good Grass-type move that uses the special attack and doesn't have that Leaf Storm debuff, so it's a little bit more reliable for the Sceptile. It might be what it uses in the long run if it does go for that special option. It also gets access to Rock Slide, which is another decent coverage option, and Dragon Dance, which honestly, it might run. Given that attack boost is nice, that speed boost doesn't really do a whole lot in raids, but it might run Dragon Dance because of that Dragon Terror type, and they kind of want to show that off a little bit. It gets access to Overgrow and Unburden. Unburden likely won't show up because they haven't really done too many, 7-star raids with item use abilities that actually use their item. So I'm not super expecting to see that. Overgrow is a pretty good option too. But I have noticed they do tend to use the hidden abilities whenever, even if they're not that great. So maybe plan around them, but there's not too much you do different. So, it's not a big deal. As a dragon type, it is going to be weak to dragon, ice, and fairy type Pokemon. And I think you definitely want to stay away from building a Dragon-type Pokemon to combat the Sceptile, because of course then it'll be able to hit back for super effective, unless you have a Dragon-type Pokemon that can resist that in some way, which I don't think we have any Dragon-type builds, if I'm remembering correctly. I think they're all either Fairy or Ice-type. Let me check. Yes, okay. So we don't have any Dragon-type builds, if that's what you're here for. I apologize. But that probably wouldn't get you too far anyway, so I definitely recommend against it. As recently announced, this Sceptile will be in raids from June 28th to June 30th, and then once again from July 5th to July 7th, so spanning over those little 2 weekends there as normal. With that being said, let's get right into our builds. Our first one here is a bit of an interesting one. You might not be expecting to see a non-fully evolved Pokemon, but the moment you see that held item, you'll realize why. Clefairy here is a very good option for the Sceptile. It's, of course, Fairy types normally, and we're going to give it Terra Fairy, which is very nice. It's easy to catch. You can just go catch a Clefairy, and it will have Terra type Fairy as long as it's not in a weird raid or something. So that makes it very easy to build Pokemon. Held item is, of course, going to be Eviolite. That's the best thing on this. And the reason we're using Clefairy as opposed to Clefable isn't actually necessarily that Eviolite, although it does help a lot. It's that ability there, Friend Guard. This Clefairy is a fantastic support Pokemon for the Sceptile. It won't be able to do a whole lot of damage, and Friend Guard makes it so your teammates won't be taking a whole lot of damage either. When it comes to EVs, you want to max out HP, put about 100 points exactly into special defense, and then put 156 points into defense. You're going to want to give it a plus defense minus attack nature. And again, Friend Guard is its best ability. Now let's get back to the moves. I did that a little bit out of order. I apologize for that. Life Dew is a great way to keep you and your teammates alive if necessary, but leading with a Reflect and Light Screen is really important. If this thing's a mixed attacker, you probably want to do both. If you know that it's not, like if it's revealed that it's either only physical or only special, choose accordingly, either Reflect or Light Screen. Chilling Water is a great option if this thing does go for some physical attacks, which I'm definitely expecting it to do, because that not only charges your Terra, which realistically on the Clefairy isn't super important, but does lower the Sceptile's attack every time you hit it, which of course is fantastic fantastic. If it is a primarily physical attacker, Reflect and Chilling Water will make sure your team's taking basically no damage along with that friend guard. This Clefairy is a fantastic support option. I don't think there's a better option for a support role. But again, you cannot expect to single-handedly win raids with this Clefairy. That's just not going to happen. This Clefairy's damage output is next to nothing. It is solely around making sure your teammates can stay alive, set up if they need to, and deal a bunch of damage. And with that being said, let's move on. Ooh, IVs as well. Realistically, they don't matter too much because, again, you're not here to do a whole lot of damage, but everything does matter except attack. You're not using attack at all. Chilling Water gets a little bit of damage in, and this higher special attack, maybe you'll do a little bit more, but again, it's not only resisted, but Clefairy's special attack isn't high in the first place, and, you're not going to be doing a whole lot with Chilling Water, so again, this Clefairy is a great support option. Do not expect to be doing a whole lot of damage with this. However, if you do want to do quite a bit of damage, our next option, Tinkaton here, is a pretty good option, and it's pretty easily accessible. Tinkaton, of course, is a very popular Pokemon, so I could definitely see a lot of people wanting to run this as well. Tinkaton is the Fairy and Steel type, which is a fantastic type for this, and it's going to be the Terror type of Fairy. Its Shell Bell is going to be its held item, and then let's get over to its move real quick. Play Rough is its main damage output move, with Reflect and Light Screen on there for the same reason that they're on Clefairy, so, if you don't have a Clefairy on your team, you can use it. Swords Dance will help you set up if you realize you're not doing a whole lot of damage. Maybe go for a Reflect or Light Screen if you notice you're not taking a lot of damage, and Sceptile's either already cleared stats or you know that it's not going to. A Swords Dance or two might, increase your damage output by quite a bit in the long run. Its abilities don't really matter much. I mean, Mold Breaker, I guess, is something here. Honestly, I don't know if it gets other abilities, but I remember knowing that none of them really did much. Here, let me look real quick. What other... It gets Own, Tempo, and Pickpocket, which don't do anything. So, go with what you get. I guess Mold Breaker is the best. But again, none of them do anything at all, so, whatever you catch it with works. When it comes to stats, you're going to max out its HP, max out its attack, and put the last little bit in defense. Its defensive stats aren't super great, other than its... Oop, my controller's about to die soon. Other than its special defense, which is honestly pretty alright. So putting that last little bit in defense will make it sure you can stick around for a little while longer, but if this thing's a mixed attacker, definitely lead with a Reflect. No matter what, you'll be resisting both the Grass and Dragon-type damage options for Sceptile, so you should be able to live a hit or two and go for a Light Screen or Reflect if necessary, maybe a Heal Cheer if you need it, but assuming you have a Clefairy or other support option on your team, you should be fine. Tinkaton can deal quite a bit of damage in the long run, so I definitely recommend having one of these if especially if you like Tinkaton. A lot of people do. It's nature. I got really confused there. For some reason, I thought it was minus defense on the screen, and I thought I built it wrong. But you're going to want Adamant as its nature. That's, its best ability. That is up attack and minus special attack. It's going to increase its damage output even more, and that is what this Tinkaton is. That's what this Tinkaton is intended to do. A lot of damage. Everything matters except its special attack when it comes to IVs. And with that being said, let's move on to our third option. We've got another fan favorite Pokemon here. We've got Sylveon. Sylveon, of course, is the Fairy type, and you're going to give it the Terra Fairy type, which might be a little bit hard to do because you'll probably catch this thing as an EV, and from just there, it's going to be normal Terra type. So you might have to use little Terra Shards to get this. So, that's the first one on the list here that you're going to need to potentially spend Terra Shards on. And that's fine. You're going to give it the Shell Bell held item. I'm stuttering my words. You can probably tell it's real late right now. And when it comes to moves, it's again going to have that Reflect on there. Light Screen, I don't think it actually gets. No, it does. Okay, so if this thing is primarily special, it comes out. Put Light Screen instead. But realistically, yeah, I'd say Reflect's your best option because if this thing is special, it doesn't really have a whole lot of options against Sylveon. Like I guess Energy Ball, but Leaf Blade does quite a bit too. So I'd go for Reflect there. Misty Terrain's also a decent option because that boosts Fairy type damage on the field, which will be very nice if you're using a lot of Fairy Pokemon like that Tinkaton. Or again, the Sylveon. Moonblast is going to be its main damage output, and Draining Kiss is also a very good option. It kind of acts like Drain Punch, although it does have moderately low base powers, so keep that in mind. If you notice you're a little low and you're not healing back what you need with those Moonblast, Draining Kiss might heal you a little bit more, but realistically it'll probably be a little close because you'll do more damage with Moonblast and heal quite a bit more from Shell Bell. This really just comes down, try it, see what happens. When it comes to stats, you're going to max out its HP, max out its special attack, and put the last 4 points in defense to make sure it can stick around a little longer. Its defensive stats aren't super hot, so definitely go in there with a support option or two on your team. Its ability Q-Charm is very cool. It makes the opponent infatuated if they make direct contact, which I believe Leaf Blade does. I think also, I guess Dragon Claw wouldn't because, it doesn't hit Sylveon, but Leaf Blade does make direct contact, and I'm pretty sure raid bosses can be infatuated. So, put Q-Charm on this thing. I think its other option is like, what is its other ability? I'll pull it up right now. It is Pixelate, which you're not using normal type moves on this Pokemon, so it doesn't really matter a whole lot. So I probably wouldn't go for that. But again, when it comes to its nature, a special attack minus attack, which is modest nature, And when it comes to IVs, everything matters except your attack stat, whatever that is. It's, it doesn't matter. You're not using it. Moving on to our next Pokemon of the builds, we've got a more difficult one to grab here if you are a Violet player, but otherwise, it's a very good option. You should have quite a few. They're pretty abundant. You got Fluttermane here. I'd be surprised if you don't already have a similar Fluttermane built for competitive Pokemon if you do play. So, it'll be a very easy option for you. You're going to want Ghost Fairies, it's normal typing, or original typing, I should say, and its Terra type is going to be Fairy. Assault Vest on this Pokemon makes sure it can live a little bit of extra special attack, whether that be Energy Ball or Leaf Storm. Getting over to its moves, you'll see why we were able to use that. We've got Moonblast as main damage output. Draining Kiss on here for the same reason that it's on Sylveon, although it might get slightly more use because you don't have that Shell Bell held at him. Mystical Fire, in case you notice that Sceptile is predominantly using special attacks, Mystical Fire has a 100% chance to lower the target's, special attack stat for every hit. Charge Beam has, I believe, like a 30% chance to boost your special attack stat, so getting to Terra if your team's already doing fine and you don't need to go for Mystical Fires is a pretty good option. Because then once you get to Terra, you'll already have a boosted special attack stat, and those Moonblasts will be doing a lot of damage. When it comes to its stats, you're going to max out HP and max out special attack. Puts the last little bit into defense there. This Pokemon can, do a lot of damage, is what Fluttermane's known for. I should mention all, but by the way, Photosynthesis is its only ability, so go for that. Modest Nature, which again is up special attack minus attack. I can't remember if I mentioned that. And when it comes to IVs, everything matters except attack. As I was saying, the Fluttermane can do a ridiculous amount of damage. And its staying power is pretty good too. It has pretty good bulk. But again, you might need a little bit of support options if you want to stay around. But realistically, if you have access to Fluttermane, it's probably one of your best options for this raid. But we've got two fun options next, which might work very well as a little group set if you have someone to run it with. It'll be fun. Our first one in that group set here is Alolan Sandslash. A little bit difficult to get in this game, but if you can get your hands on it, it's a very great option for this. It's going to be the Ice Steel type, and you're going to give it the Terra type of Ice, and Shell Bell as its held item. When it comes to its moves, Snowscape is probably your go-to unless you have the next Pokemon in the set, which you can probably already see there on the left. Avalanche is also a very good move. This move's power is doubled if you took damage on this turn. So you kind of don't want your, Sandslash to be super fast, which is fine, because Sceptile is already incredibly fast. You're probably not going to be outspeeding it anyway. Curse is another good option to make sure your Amnesias go last, or your Avalanches go last, while also boosting your defense and attack stat. Amnesia is a great option if you notice you're taking a little bit too much damage from those special attacks, or if this thing's running Focus Blast, which truthfully, if it is, maybe don't run this. Although Snow Cloak might help you a little bit there, because Focus Blast already has a moderately low accuracy, and if it's snowing, this Pokemon has moderately high evasion, which will be very nice. So if it does run Focus Blast and you build a Sandslash and you don't want to build anything else, it'll be a little tough. But if you get lucky with a few Snowscape misses, or Snow Cloak misses, you might be able to pull it off. And get to that Terra, you'll still be taking super effective damage, but it won't be 4 times super effective, which will be very nice. And hopefully by then you'll already have an Amnesia up or two, or some other way to handle those hits. Again, if this thing does have Focus Blast, this Pokemon is a substantially worse, so maybe don't build it if it does have Focus Blast, but if it doesn't, it'll be a fun build. When it comes to stats, you're going to max out HP, max out attack, and put the last little bit in a special defense there. You want this thing to be Adamant Nature, which is up attack and minus special attack. And when it comes to IVs, everything matters except special attack. You don't care what that is, which you can see there it's 53, which is incredibly low. Moving on to our final Pokemon of the builds, we've got Alolan Ninetales. This pairs incredibly well with that Sandslash. Alolan Ninetales, of course, is the Ice and Fairy type, and it's going to give it Terra type of Ice, and you're going to give it the Light Clay held item. And you'll see why immediately here. We've got Aurora Veil as its first move. With Snow Warning up, Aurora Veil puts up both screens, and with that Light Clay, it'll be for 8 turns, which is quite a bit. You'll also get 100% accurate Blizzards in that Snow Warning. Again, Draining Kiss is on this Pokemon if you need to stick around and it's not taking hits super well. And Chilling Water is a great way to make sure that Sceptile damage output is limited. When it comes to its stats, you're going to max out HP, max out special attack, and put the last 4 points into defense. Again, its Terra type is Ice, I don't know if I mentioned that, and its nature is going to be Modest, which again is up special attack and minus attack. When it comes to IVs, everything matters except attack, and again, Snow Warning on this Pokemon is incredibly important. These two work incredibly well together, and they're a fun set where realistically, if Sceptile doesn't have an answer to them like Focus Blast or something similar, they might just run house. They might be like your best options, but if it does have Focus Blast, that really hurts Sandslash, and in turn hurts Ninetales. So maybe wait for Sceptile to come out to see if it first does have that Focus Blast move, and if it doesn't, I'd probably recommend these two. They'd be fun to use, and they'd work pretty well. So that's all 6 of our sets here today, so thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to end this video and go to bed immediately, so I apologize if I seem to stutter a little bit more this episode. I'm incredibly exhausted, but I thought I'd help get this video out for you guys so you can start building these sets before the Sceptile shows up. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope to see you guys out there in the Terra raids, and have a good day.